What is going on in the world, Lubie? I mean, and good morning, people. It's good to have you guys with us. Destined to go to the racetrack later on today. You know, and Mayo's good. I mean, he keeps bringing those Friday and Saturday forms. Although one thing I find, and I love Tony Segreto, but he always ends up taking like the Saturday racing form.
Oh, does he? Does he even bet? Why does he need the Saturday one? Is he betting on Saturday?
I don't know. I mean, is that just a byproduct of being in the media forever, where whatever they're giving away, you're taking one? Like, even though you have like zero use for it.
What do you mean?
Is he watching FanDuel? I don't think so. That's not Tony's bag.
I have no interest at all in even watching any of it, and I almost grab it every week.
Yeah. It's insane, isn't it? Right? You wouldn't know how to read it anyway, right? I mean, look, it's no shame if you have never looked at a racing form. You look at it, it's like, what the fuck is this? That's probably the worst move that you can make in any kind of relationship. Try to teach your girlfriend to read the racing form. Not that she's incapable. No. Now, here's the thing. If she already knows everything about the form and she's pointing out things to you on the first date,
that's great.
How do you feel about that woman?
Yeah, it's amazing.
But is she ever going to buy your bullshit when she's already surpassed you in terms of her degenerate levels, which would be the ultimate test? Because I like that when, you're with somebody. Now, this is only in my fantasies, Libby. Where you're with a woman at the track and she says, can you believe this, Christoph? Come on, man.
Oh, yeah.
This is the second time he's put blinkers on this horse, and guess what happened both times? Finished last. Then he has the barn send in a bunch of money, so the horse is 4 to 5 every flash, and you know what happens with 4 to 5 favorites. People believe in them.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here. The Defo Show gets underway on this fine Wednesday, a midweek special here. Jeff DeForest and Mike Lubie Lubitz. It wasn't that I ran completely out of crappy-looking shirts for today's show, but March Madness, it seemed appropriate. I mean, I find myself stuck watching these Weenie tournament games, and I enjoy the whole grassroots element. I've turned into Tony Segreto here. It's interesting because Segreto is moving away from being Segreto.
Yes.
And now has become kind of cynical and down on the whole college sports scene. Remember, he used to come on and talk for an hour or so about women's college softball and how it was coming on, how wonderful it was. And now it's like, you know what? Fuck the college game. I don't want to watch this garbage anymore. And meanwhile, Mr. Cynicism himself, the personification of cynical sports observer. Although, I mean, if you don't love the stuff, that's the thing. I mean, you're like weird in this respect because you get the feeling that you really genuinely don't even like sports because you hate your team so much.
I'm passionate to the point where it's painful.
Right. I mean, and I always used to get a kick out of this because you would listen. There were a few sportscasters in town that were like this, and this is no reflection on their overall impact on the market, but you would listen to a guy who was like a genuine, let's go, let's lead the crowd. We're going to go down to the ballpark. We're going to root our team in. Our good friend Orlando Alzagari was kind of like this.
Yes.
But then he hated everything about everything that went on in the sporting world. I can't watch that garbage anymore. And you're like, well, then don't. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's not very engaging to have somebody that tells you that whatever it is that I'm about to talk about, it's all based on the fact that I think it sucks. Sports are wonderful. I mean, to get out there and play, it's absolutely fantastic. I don't care if you were like a low-level recreational player. You still, you loved getting out there and getting involved. You don't have to be the greatest player either. I mean, that's another misnomer about sportscasting is that people always thought, oh, well, geez, if you never played the game at that level, how the hell would you have a pretty good idea about how these games go. I mean, if you were just horrible, I mean, could you imagine? I don't know. It was our good friend Hank Goldberg. Do you think he was a good athlete?
Maybe.
That's hard to picture. No, that's hard to picture.
I knew him as old Hank.
Can you see Hank slapping one into the gap in right field and making sure that he got to third base on this thing, that he was digging for third the whole way? He was just going to turn up the jets and fly around the base paths with reckless abandon and challenge the right arm of even Roberto Clemente to throw him out at third base. I don't know. Is it important? I mean, you can have, I guess you can have some intuitive knowledge about what it takes, but it does help, I would say, Lubie, to have had some experience playing various games. What would you say? That's a fair statement?
Yeah, because I hate when they're like, well, you didn't play. Look, I don't know if you have to be a professional, but I'm presuming everyone at least played the game.
A very small percentage of people are going to be professionals.
Yeah, even at a low level, like it's to me important that you understand how it is to play
Yes.
the game. Yes.
No, it helps. I mean, to have some feeling for what's going on out there because you develop an appreciation at all different levels for some of the phenomenal things that some of these guys are doing. Although I don't know. I don't know that I understand the flow of basketball anymore, Lubie. Has your perception of the game changed quite a bit also? And it's funny too because we've said this forever, and you have a zillion people that are analyzing every play that's made on a basketball court, and they go out with telestrators, and now it's become very popular. The Mike Fratello thing, where you stop the action. And then you show a guy and he moves like a half a foot, and they're going, see, there he is. There he is. Now, he moved that half a foot, and that gave him the leverage and the advantage and the inside lane integrity. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? There were only like a couple of plays. And you can work them at various, locations on the court, I guess what would be the way to put it. But in essence, you're doing the same thing constantly, aren't you? You're either trying to rub a guy off a pick or make a cut while your defender has got his attention distracted by paying attention to somebody else. Create some kind of mismatch. I mean, how many things? But it seems like every play starts with about 15 seconds of a weave at the top of the key, and then somebody tries to penetrate, and usually they are penetrating with the only singular mindset of passing the ball out to the most distant part of the court that isn't out of bounds to a guy that they're hoping is wide open to shoot the ball out of the corner or maybe from the wing or the top of the key. It's very strange, isn't it? The way that basketball is being played these days. But all that being said, still, I mean, watching it at its raw essence, I got a big kick out of the games last night. I don't know if you watched any college basketball action, Lubie, but I was enthralled in it. I felt like Jim Sarney himself. I wish I had more phones or outlets for being able to get all of these games going at once. Because anybody out there, I mean, I would imagine we have a lot of ex-New Yorkers that follow the show and follow our programs. I guess that's part of the landscape here in South Florida. You just have a lot of ex-New Yorkers, period. But how many people, Long Island people, was it a fear that you would end up going to Stony Brook, or was that a distinction? Because it seemed like, as I recall from my high school, Belmore Kennedy in Belmore, New York, that was one of the things. Like you would ask somebody where they're going to school, and if they weren't necessarily people that were pursuing the highest of academic standards, people like myself, Nassau Community was in the mix. Nassau Community College. Would that be like going to Broward Community College, Lubie, you think?
Yes, yeah, probably.
Broward, the local community college you were going to go to. And I don't know. I mean, it was okay. Stony Brook was the other one that was always mentioned. I didn't even know. Stony Brook had a football team that actually did well a few years ago, didn't they? Stony Brook University.
No idea. Sure.
It's out there in the outer bastions of Long Island somewhere. I want to say, where's Stony Brook located? Anybody know? You can put it up on the chat line. Is that like way east in Suffolk County, Stony Brook University?
I have no idea.
That was one of the things, though. You were either going to Nassau Community or Stony Brook. And then, there was the whole list of other colleges, but those were the two primary destinations that people, well, yeah, I'm going to Stony Brook. Okay, great. But they were involved in a ball game last night. They actually took the number one seed in their conference into overtime before losing. And then you see what's at stake. I mean, Stony Brook loses. You don't see Lunardi talking about Stony Brook, do you? They're not anywhere near the last four out or whatever it is. Is it next four? I keep confusing this, Lubie. It's first four in?
Yes. No.
Last four. No, it's last four in, first four out.
Yes, it's very easy. They're the last team to get in. They're the first team to get left out.
Does it always go in fours? I mean, when did Lunardi decide that?
Lunardi just talks about the fucking four. I don't know where the four came from. But
who is this fucking Lunardi? Where the hell did he come from? What are his qualifications to be telling you what's going on in the NCAA tournament? He starts bracketology before the season even starts.
Yes, he starts before the season. He does it all season long now. Yes, bracketology is an ongoing process now.
Ongoing, it's year round. I mean, they're filling out brackets. It's insane. But nonetheless, it is interesting to see. I love the lower end of the brackets being filled out, and that's what you get in these smaller conference tournaments. Missouri Valley Conference, you get the Atlantic Sun. You got Stetson in there. That's great. Sun Belt, James Madison. Southern Conference, Samford. Who the hell knew what that was, right? Like I said yesterday, I thought it was a dog track. outside of Jacksonville, Sanford. No, in the Orlando area. Didn't they close that down? They did a long time
I
ago.
think so. Remember, dog tracks, or at least dog racing doesn't
Dog
exist.
racing has
Dog
been banned
tracks
for
is-
like a while now. Was that a DeSantis move? That's the one thing he banned that probably I would have been in favor of.
I don't know if it was DeSantis.
DeSantis? No, he had nothing to do with that because that was a good thing to ban. Oakland beats Milwaukee yesterday in the Horizon. Greg Campy has been the coach there for 40 years, Lubie. These are the kind of stories that we want to see emanate from the NCAA tournament. They may be very short-lived, but we shall see. Wagner also gets in there with a win over Merrimack, who Merrimack had gone Division One, I guess, in the last couple of years. Might be just 2 years ago. They would have qualified for the tournament. They won their conference title. Last year, were not eligible to go to the NCAA tournament, and this year they come right to the wall there. Late game collapse against Wagner, and they get knocked out of the tournament. So should be a lot of fun. A lot of good stuff going on. Sunday, Selection Day. You had the University of Miami. Let's get to the local teams here, Louie, while we're at it. And Tony Segreto is going to join us here at about 8:30 with a little old school with Tony Segreto. We asked him to do some snooping for us because he's always around the campus, Tony Segreto. And what the hell happened? I mean, is there any explanation for it? Where's Special K? We got to call somebody.
I don't know.
How did I mean, was there something that was so catastrophic that happened to them? You mentioned injuries, but when I'm watching them, it seems like they had the team out there for the most part that they were looking to represent the school at the beginning of the year. I mean, Omir was out there. You had that guy Cleveland. He was in and out of the lineup. The guy that transferred from FSU.
Yeah.
Nigel Pack, I mean, he was in and out a couple of times. But in essence, did they not have their team? Wooga Poplar was an improved player this year over what we saw last year in terms of his scoring ability. He was starting to light it up a little bit. How did they end up losing 10 in a row to finish the season, Louie? What the hell happened there?
I don't know. I know they supposedly have some injury issues, but still, we love Larinaga, and the run they went on is amazing, but the ACC was super down, and even if you had injuries and had issues, they're not only not going to make the tournament, they finished the year losing 10 in a row. And I don't
believe him, and getting crushed in a few of these games.
I mean, I just don't know how you explain that away. That's my problem. Is there's always an explanation, right? What's the explanation? And I know in years past they've used injury. Injury doesn't have you losing 10 in a row in a conference that was one of the worst in college basketball.
Yeah,
like, it's really bad. They're going to get like maybe 3 teams in the tournament. Maybe 4, maybe. Like, this was super down ACC. Like, it's just weird for them to be that. They were supposed to be a big part of the ACC this year, and they were not good.
There was no indication before the season. I know they lost a couple of guys, Isaiah Wong being one, and who's the other guy? Jordan something?
They lost Jordan Miller, and they lost Wong. They're 2 probably best players, but Nigel Pack was supposedly right there. Norshad Amir was right there.
Amir was tremendous last year.
Cleveland, who's now a junior, and he was once a 5-star from FSU. Like, they supposedly had retooled to the point where people had them as a top 15 team. So
they were ranked in the top 15 before the season started, along with FAU. FAU has shown signs of life, though, towards the end of the year. After not being quite as sharp and as dominating as they were last year when they rattled off that 21-game winning streak. And, of course, phenomenal run to the Final Four. But what kind of shape are we in, I guess, is what we're asking here. A shocker to see Jim Larinaga on a 10-game losing streak to finish the year. And as you said, Lubie, an ACC that wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't as if you were looking at monster teams all year long. And then, FAU looks like they may be coming to life at the right time. We'll see. They won a big ball game last Saturday and now going into their conference tournament play. And we'll see. I don't think they have to win the tournament to get into the NCAA festivities, but certainly wouldn't hurt their cause any because you get that automatic bid that all of these weenie teams are looking for. All right, so that's coming up. Selection Sunday. Though, that's a tragedy. The Heat tonight take on the Denver Nuggets. Is that going to be one of those indicator games? The Heat have what? Have they lost 3 in a row?
Yes.
The Miami Heat?
Yes.
They keep teasing us that they're getting it together. And just as you declared that they're as good as anybody, we had Scoop Skolnick on the show last week. He was talking about it's only a 2-team race for the Eastern Conference title. The Boston Celtics, who everybody would have penciled in there, and rightfully so, deservedly so, based on the way they performed this year. And the Miami Heat were his other team. And this wasn't a local writer cover the Heat for a living, 24 hours immersion into Heat mania and minutia, Scoop Skolnick. This wasn't any kind of bias. He really believed that. that it was Miami and Boston, the two teams in the Eastern Conference, which you can make a case for it because the rest of the teams in the East, somewhat of a mystery, including now the Milwaukee Bucks again, who are getting trounced on a nightly basis, and I think have lost 3 in a row. And that was after they looked like they had finally gotten it
I'm
together.
still figuring it out now. Okay, never
The
mind.
fuck?
The Knicks, I guess, look good, but again, it's against Sixers team.
Knicks have been playing the Sixers without.
Maxey
I think Maxey came back last night, scored 17, but he wasn't himself necessarily. Well, I mean, how can you embrace the Knicks? Well, we don't know what they're going to look like, and how badly do they need Randall to be any kind of a factor? And that's you would think an imposing question that they don't have an answer for right now. And Philadelphia without Joel Embiid is just not the threat that they. I mean, it's not like it takes a genius to make this deduction, but they're just not as good as they would be, right? They don't have any legitimate chance, you would think, to be a championship caliber team. Plus, the Knicks now have held 3 straight teams, 2 of which were Philadelphia. One in the same Philadelphia, one of which was Philadelphia, but they did it 2 times. Held 3 straight opponents under 80 points. How does that happen, Louie, in the NBA today? Almost an impossibility.
Yeah, that's a half. And you were joking the other day that that's literally a half. The game the Heat played the Pistons, it was like 59 to like 60 something at half. like that's crazy. I don't know. The way the East is shaping up, the Pacers are playing a little bit better. The Knicks seem to be getting healthy. The Heat are starting to screw around. The Bucks have screwed around. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with the Miami Heat tonight. It's at home, I guess, versus
at home versus Denver.
So you would think, look, and they played the Nuggets pretty close the other day. They're still without Hero, which I don't know when the guy fucking plays at this point. Like I'm so confused with
what happened to him. I mean, when is his injury? This time?
People that say he's not injury prone, and Scoop said it with us last week, and then he finished by saying, but again,
he's never in the lineup.
Yeah. Biggest ability is availability. So like, if you're not injury prone, what the fuck are you? The guy's missed a third of every season. A third. Like, we're getting to the point where he's going to miss a half of this season. Like,
it's getting to the point where you don't anticipate him being in the lineup. In fact, I've almost forgotten that he's on the team.
Yes.
That's unfortunate.
And that's the thing, is it gets to the point where you're like, what are they going to do when he comes back? You know, he's a guy that should be a top 3 player on their roster, one of the better young players in the league.
I believe he is that. Yeah,
he hasn't played most of the year. Like,
you haven't seen much of him, that's for sure. I know he rolled an ankle, like a month or 2 ago, and he came back from that. But what the hell happened now? Not sure. Anyway, I don't know. Do any regular season games that mean anything in the NBA? Is this one of those games where if you're the Miami Heat, you're telling yourself, hey, listen, we lost to these guys last year in the finals. They handled us pretty well. We were competitive, but not really. I mean, everybody could see the direction the series was going in. And we just lost to these guys on the road, even though we gave them a battle with a depleted lineup. Do we go out tonight and put everything that we have into this ballgame and snap our 3-game losing streak while the Denver Nuggets come into town and they're thinking, geez, man, there are a lot of cops out here for South Beach. When did they put up barbed wire on South Beach, Lubie? Is it easier to cross the border from Mexico into Texas with Abbott, the governor, sitting there waiting for you to arrive with a bunch of cops ready to throw you right back to Mexico City?
I mean, have you seen this? These ads? I don't know if they're doing it on TV, but it's all over social media. We're breaking up with you, spring break. Which, first of all, I never knew Miami to be a spring. Fort Lauderdale was a spring break place, but Miami was never a spring break. But the last few years, it's gotten weirdly hood around spring break, and I don't understand that connection. But because South Beach is not hood in any way, and it's so fucking expensive. Usually, people in the hood wouldn't be going out to that area, but whatever, you're allowed to go wherever you go. But it became very violent around spring break to the point where they don't want it. They're like, get the fuck away.
Who was it? Nikki Grossman. She was the Hollywood commissioner or whatever, head of the commission, or a tourist commission or something, Broward County, whatever she was. Didn't she a long time ago, when spring break was really huge in the Fort Lauderdale Beach area? Where you literally couldn't move. I mean, it was kind of fun to go there, and at the same time, it was a disaster. But you couldn't move out there. Elbow Room and all of these places just packed into the streets and flowing into the beach area. But I mean, people were making money. Was it a good thing, Lubie? What do you think? Should they have shut this down and gotten rid of the riffraff? Does it create too much of a negative environment? What happened on South Beach the last couple of years was a disgrace. I would have to say, if I was involved there. I mean, the business owners seem to be a little bit upset with the way things are being restricted. I haven't gone to South Beach. I would say, Lubie, the last time I was there, I think, was with you.
No, for that
When
thing, you haven't been since that. Jesus, really?
I
That was
never go there. It's not even part of my. It's not on my itinerary at all to even think about going there for any reason. Is there a restaurant there that you have to go to? I mean, I don't necessarily. I know it's South Beach, technically, but is Joe's Stone Crabs really South Beach? No, it's way down the end there, away from that action. Um, but yeah, I have no desire, zero. I would venture to say there's a strong possibility that I never go in that direction again. Is that possible, Lumi, to live in South Florida and never go to South Beach? How
yeah.
often do you go? You go running down there with Shirley
Yeah,
to go entertain yourself? I mean,
I've
pay
been more recent than then, but again, the last time we was there, I think for a wedding. Like we
Yeah.
just, even if we go venture to Miami, we don't go. It's just a pain in the ass. But I just think it's funny that it was such a disaster that they're like
they're
literally
making ads to tell people get the fuck out of here.
like they're
You
making
don't want to be here.
the border. They're like build a
What-
wall.
I swear to God, I'm surprised Trump isn't standing down there. Holy shit! Where's Governor Ron?
Well, that's a good question.
All right, this guy's got to be caught up in this because finally, I mean, we're down to embracing, and it is interesting. I don't know if you caught the beginning of the show, Tony Segreto,
No, I
but
didn't.
we were saying, implying, and you may find this to be really an unwarranted statement with no foundation in truth, but we were implying that you have become cynical about college sports, whereas we are now
No,
embracing the raw, pure athleticism and amateurism of these weenie conference tournaments. That this is
I'm
where
still not
this is what
cynical.
it's all about, Tony. What do you think?
I'm still not cynical about college sports. No.
All right. Well, we painted you as being just a sour, bitter cynic at this point. From the man that was just praising, I mean, as if
I'm still
we had just
praising it. College sports.
women's
is good.
softball. I mean, you were all over that a few years ago.
I'm still at this.
My dog's going nuts. Yeah. Go ahead. Don't let that distract you.
Softball. Scholarship criminals are kind of in a transition year. I'm still an advocate of sports on the college level. Inherently, the sport is good. There are some out there that are just, throwing caution to the wind. And all I know is I'm not going to South Beach either. Plain and
Do
simple.
you go down there? I mean, I
No.
never was a huge fan of South Beach. I mean, it was okay.
No, I don't even go to Joe's Stone Crab. I can get just as good as stone crabs right here.
Stone crabs are stone crabs, right? I mean,
Yeah.
are Joe's any better than any place else?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
They're all the same, aren't they?
They're
Pretty
all
much.
the same.
I
They're
mean,
all
you
the
get
same.
some that are frozen or whatever, and those would be in another category. But in general, if you're buying stone crabs, what are you looking for? You're looking for size and the right price. That's it.
Go to the Delaware Chicken Farm and order them. And
There
take
you
them
go.
home and enjoy them at home.
That's the way to go. Yeah. No, the whole South Beach thing, though. I mean, do you get it? It's weird that they've turned their back on spring break. I mean, did you ever think you would see a time where the local commissions of whatever area here were running ads saying, "Get the fuck out of here. We don't want you."
No, not that.
Yeah.
It was so bad the last 5 years that they are just so bad. I mean,
It really looked like the streets of some inner city.
it was Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, people are shooting guns off and going
It was
crazy.
awful. It was awful.
It was pure ugliness. Yeah. Very good, Tony. All right. Are you watching any of these smaller conference tournaments? So we want to get into some of the local stuff too, because I don't know if you did any
I don't
further
know what
snooping.
happened at Larinaga. I don't
What
know.
happened, man?
What
10 straight
what
losses. I
happened?
can't
What
believe
happened?
that.
You're around the program. What happened? Like I'm so
I don't
confused.
know.
You're just there. Like what is going on? This is such a
I
weird.
can't
year.
tell you. I wish I knew. It's a strange thing. It's almost as if they turned a deaf ear to him.
You
No,
think
I don't
think
the
so.
team checked out on Larinaga? I didn't see anything specific
it's
that
a
you would look at and
combination.
go, okay, there's the reason. It's hard to explain.
I think it's a combination of things. And no one's said anything to me. So full disclosure, I I think it's the players you choose, the incoming players, and they checked out.
Oh yeah,
They
wow,
just checked out. Checked out.
Really?
wow. That
Oh,
seems
And
jeez.
odd. I mean, of all the people that you would want to play for, you would have to think, no matter what age differential there might be between coach and player, that Larinaga would be a guy that you literally, I mean, you would be inspired to do just about anything for him in terms of, saying, "Hey, I'm going to do it your way, coach."
yeah, but listen, there comes a time when they don't listen, they don't pay attention, they don't, they just want to go out there and end the season and get their scholarship and move on.
And the NIL money. I mean, what does Joe Zagacki have to say about this, Tony? Have you
I haven't talked to Joe lately. I have to
have you
talk to him.
prodded Joe Zagacki for an answer to this inexplicable mystery? And what was weird was you fully expected that they might get crushed by Boston College yesterday in round one of the ACC tournament, where their only chance to do anything was to win the tournament. Otherwise, it was sayonara. No chance to come back and defend their position as a Final Four team from a
And
year ago.
how'd they do?
They got blown out. I mean, just it seemed like I looked at a score and they might have had 65 points for the last 10 minutes of that game. Not sure. I didn't get to see any of it, but I am enthralled with these smaller conferences. Tony, you'll find this very refreshing. From
I do
and
find
I'm a big basketball fan anyway, so I love seeing kids that don't necessarily
Oh yeah.
get the kind of spotlight and they have their big moment like this kid Townsend did yesterday for Oakland, which is a school out of Michigan. They beat Milwaukee, won the Horizon Conference
That's where
championship.
my wife went to college there.
Oh yeah, get out of here! I mean Auburn Hills, that's where they're located.
Yeah.
The coach has been there 40 years. I love that, Tony Segreto.
Yeah. It's just
40
so
years.
it's so great. And who do you pick to be our Cinderella story this year?
And I haven't really come to any kind of conclusion on only because you know what, Lubie's right. You kind of have to see the bracket itself, don't you?
Because that's the problem is people are like, oh, this team's gonna win it all, and then they have the bracket of death, and then this team's gonna this team that has no shot, and then they are like, oh shit, they got a really interesting bracket, and that's the other thing with the small teams is sometimes they'll get weirdly home court for like they'll be the 13th seed, but it's in Kansas, and they're a team from freaking Kansas.
Yeah.
So like that can help propel them. Like the tournament's really weird where it's not just about who's playing hot, who's playing well, and who's been good all year. It's who are they playing? Like it sucks in that because this week we really don't know, but by next Sunday we will.
And that'll be great. That I can't wait. That tournament is as good as it gets. This
Should be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, it should be
wide open this year. Wide open, Tony.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Yeah. Were the Dolphins out to lunch? Did they take a lunch break?
I don't know, Tony. I think a lot of that changed yesterday.
But see, that's the thing is like what. Look, and again, we had him on literally yesterday, and it's why I had him on because we respect Dave Hyde. He's done this a really long time. He's been around this organization. He's not defender of this organization, and he and also Chris Perkins, the guy we've had on a lot, and both I consider friends, not friends of the show, but literal friends. Like we're friends, and I appreciate their opinion about this organization, and I respect their opinion, and I get it. Seeing a lot of guys leave that first day is. Like, what the hell is this organization doing? But if you look again, it's on a case-by-case basis. Look at the contracts each guy got, and each guy, even including Van Ginkel, each guy got a dollar amount that they're not actually worth when you look at where they place in the league. And I get it. Wilkins had a great year, but Wilkins is not better than Chris Jones. And he's making more than Chris Jones. He's not better than Aaron Donald. And I think he may be making more than Aaron Donald. So to me, to pay him that money, you're screwing yourself. Then you look at Robert Hunt. He's a guard in this NFL, and he's not even a top 5 guard. He's a good guard. He's a solid guard. He's a guard that was hurt all year, and they found a way to plug his spot all year long. Guard wasn't an issue for this team. It was center and left tackle that was an issue for this team. So, like, the guys they lost, if you really break it down and don't just jump for the hills, well, they should have. They should have lost him for the price tag. And then you look at who they brought in. And again, I'm on record. I hate Chris Greer. Not even that I don't think he's good at his job. I literally have vitriol with the name Chris Greer. Okay. So I'm not a Chris Greer defender. I actually think even now, while I will finish this statement defending him, he should be fired. Because why people are scared. He's actually making the right moves, but he's so bad at drafting that people don't think he can fill the holes that he's left. But if you look at the signings they've made, they literally improved at every position for less money. Shaq Barrett is better than Van Ginkel, and he got way less money than Van Ginkel got. The center they got may not be better than Connor Williams, but he's on par for way less money, and he stays healthy, where Connor Williams is always hurt. The tight end, Jonnu Smith, they haven't had a tight end like him in years, okay? Even if his production's down, it still is better than even, look, Gesicki was nice, but Gesicki was a one-trick pony. Jonnu Smith can do it all, and that's what this offense needs. Plus with Durham Smythe, like the safety, Jordan Poyer, he might not be the best in coverage, but he's better than Brandon Jones, and he got less money than Brandon Jones. The linebacker, don't give me, people would love to defend Jerome Baker. Jerome Baker is getting way more money than the guy they got from the Browns, and he never plays. He's hurt all the time. Like, that's my thing is, as bad as Chris Greer is at drafting, what they've done is what smart organizations do. Go get your money. I'm not overpaying you. I'm going to fill with veterans on less dollars because next year they have to sign Waddle, right? They have to extend Tua right now. They have to extend Phillips. They have to extend Holland. Like, you can't extend 9 players. Like, so to me, the reason people are freaking out isn't because of who they let go, who they brought in. It's they're still going to have 3 or 4 holes. Can they fill it in the draft? And Chris Greer has been highly suspect at the draft. But free agency, as much as I love to slam the guy, like if you look at the moves in totality, who they've let go, who they brought in, they're winning. And they're doing what in the past the Giants have done, in the past the Steelers have done, what the Chiefs and the Ravens are doing. What have you seen the Chiefs and Ravens do? What have you seen the Bills do? You know, the first 2-3 days of free agency is for the Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Tampa Bay Bucks. Like, it's for the low-lying organizations to try and keep their fans happy because they'll be giddy if they win 8 games. Like, it's not for the winning organizations. So I appreciate Greer not being Mike Tannenbaum. I appreciate Greer being like those other organizations. We'll see if Chris Greer can draft and ease the concerns of, because Tony's reaction is how every Dolphin fan feels. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you wanted to give Christian Wilkins more than Chris Jones? Come on, have you watched the 2 play? Christian Wilkins had his best year by far, and he's not fucking Chris Jones.
It looked bad, Tony. I mean, yesterday. But if you look at the way they filled in these holes, specifically, I mean, almost guy for guy, like Lubie pointed out. By second day considerations, you would have to say what appeared to look like no plan whatsoever actually might have been very well thought out. I think, you know, when they got this Poyer guy, he was always instrumental in a lot of key plays that the Bills made on defense last year. Yeah. Like Lubie said, maybe he's not going stride for stride with your number 1 receiver, but still, he was always in the mix, kind of a tough defensive player to have, kind of guy that you need to be a catalyst. And Shaq Barrett was a guy who was brilliant a couple of years ago. I mean, he was deemed to be one of the best in the league, so probably still has some acumen there, even if he doesn't have the same physical ability. So, yeah, I mean, the way they went about it, it looked like they lost everybody, but I think they did a decent job of recouping whatever it was that they lost talent-wise. And as Lubie said, almost shrewdly doing it for less money. What the fuck, Tony? They were picking bodies out of the streets yesterday morning when we came on the air. I was on A1A. There were bodies. Just people were dropping. I mean, from emotional distress and unrest.
I'll give you that. Fans. Yeah. I'll give you that. They signed it for less.
Yeah, look, it's not. Who knows what it'll be, because they're doing it again where they're getting a lot of older guys, and older guys have injury issues, and that's been their issue for 2 years. So I'm not saying that these are all home run moves. I just this thing, and this is the new thing that Hyde and I'm not even picking on them because they're just saying what the world's saying. I don't know if the national media is saying it, but local media, local fans are all saying the same thing. And this is the new term I'm hearing. And it's actually totally ignorant. Pause year. Well, they went all in. They have to re-up contracts. So That's why they didn't sign the guys. It's a pause here. I'm like, no, it's not a pause here because they just signed like 8 guys yesterday. Like, not pausing anything. They're in between those guys and next year's guys. And again, they're trying to work out a deal for Tua, even though everyone hates the deal because no one wants to pay him long term. The only way you can keep him and keep your number and keep the number down is by paying him. Like, that's why they're paying him now. They're not paying him now for the idea that he's Joe Burrow. They know he's not Joe Burrow, but he's also not Ryan Tannehill. This thing that, he's Ryan Tannehill. That's a load of garbage. Ryan Tannehill never led the league in 5 of the top, in 5 of the top quarterback passing totals. Ryan Tannehill was never the face of the franchise like Tua is. Now, does he have question marks? Yes. So you can't pay him Patrick Mahomes money, but what you can do is get him a deal that can save you $12 to $13 million this year. And that's what they're doing. Again, Chris Greer, for all of his faults, and there's a lot of them, right now, he's doing a good job. He is. Like, to me, with what they have in store, with what they had on the table this year, the NFL's hard capped. Like, it's not college football. Like, it's not the Wild fucking West. It's super regimented. Like, they don't want dynasties. They want it to turn over year. So you have to fight that. And the way you do that is by going, okay, we can't pay everyone. Who do we have to pay? Who are the guys that we have to pay? And none of the guys that left were.
Aren't you glad you brought this up, Tony?
Yeah.
I have to say, though, I agree with Lubie on this. I mean, if you look at what they did in the aftermath of these defections and the amount of money, I mean, I don't know. Was Robert Hunt really a $20 million a year interior lineman? I mean, please. Was he that great? It was like one of those things where the rest of their offensive line supposedly was so bad that you couldn't wait for Robert Hunt to get back in the lineup, which seemed like the situation he was always in. I don't know. I mean, you should be able to find a guy like that somewhere again in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round of the draft. I would think so. We'll see. We got to run. I mean, Tony, you brought up a wild one there. You got Lubie going. In defense, this guy never defends the Miami Dolphins. He hates Chris Greer. That's all true.
Wow.
It's crazy, right? So you got me watching the Weenie conference tournaments while you're cynically sitting in the
You're
back.
being Sarny. I'm being Segreto.
Lubie's defending the Dolphins while all you did was say, "Hey, can you believe this shit?"
Yeah. An
hour later, we're finished.
Take a break and come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll come back. The Panthers with a big victory last night, man. This team is just hysterical. Yeah. Unbelievable. I mean, that we have something that good going on in town. And the Heat played Denver tonight. So we'll get into some of that. What's that, Tony?
They may be the best team in the league.
Well, they are right now. I mean, tangibly, and just
Dallas
looking at the way. Dallas is a good team. They're up 3-0 in that game, and they end up losing. And 3-1 going to the 3rd period, which usually at home you're going to hang on to that lead. And the Panthers come back and win 4-3. So they've been unbelievable. All right, we're coming back with more with Tony Segreto. It's old school with Tony Segreto. Ed Garcia couldn't make it today. This is one busy man, this Ed Garcia. He's unbelievable. Texas Roadhouse restaurants.
He's going to be with us.
We have the thumbs up for the Friday thing.
Be there Friday at the Miramar, Texas Roadhouse.
What time are we going to be there?
We're doing a show at 4 o'clock. A special
4 o'clock. All right. Special edition. Yeah. So bring your appetite for that salmon, Tony. But you'll be coming from the track where you're already going to be eating that tuna thing that you have.
We're going to have to make it work.
It's going to be an eating fest.
We're going to pull a mayo.
We're all going to turn into mayo on this occasion. Which is dangerous, man. Did you see that? His cardiologist called him in the middle of the show yesterday with a panic call. And it was like had a red alarm going and all kinds of shit. It was like one of these calls. You better take this call. Like he had, set it up as if you were getting a call from, your son or daughter or something, and moved up the date of his appointment. Said, hey, listen, we can't wait this long. So we're a little worried about that, especially if he's going to do a doubleheader, the track to 10 Palms to Texas Roadhouse. Are you kidding me, Lubie? How are we going to survive this?
There will be some time in between the eating, I hope. So
yeah. We get Tony, though, surprises everybody with both his ability to consume food and alcohol at these events. You would have thought he was filming a Western, man. Okay, bar, keep another one. Yeah, like, send the bottle down the bar there. He was great. All right, so we have that to look forward to Friday. All right, we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that
the time
about them Dolphins, Tony? It's 8:48.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this?
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here with Mike Lubie Lubitz, Tony Segreto, all school with us every Wednesday, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Always a pleasure having Tony on the program as we got into this whole Dolphin free agency thing. It was a shocker the first day, Tony, and then I'm saying, all right, maybe they didn't do so bad. All teams are going to suffer defections. I mean, a lot of teams. What's that?
I wanted an opinion, and I got it.
You got a lecture. What are you talking about? You didn't get an opinion there. You could have dug up Mort from the grave, and you wouldn't have got that much information. It was like holy Adam Schefter.
The grave and gave
Yeah, it
us
was like Shula.
Schuler even responded, I think, to Louie's dissertation there on the Miami Dolphins. All right, Tony. So we are witnessing something very special there with the Florida Panthers. The people. I mean, did you find that was there ever any great momentum with the Florida Panthers until they got to like the Stanley Cup final in the years that they made it? 2 times they've made the final, but I remember getting caught up in that first year. Was great. I mean, it was relatively new. They were still playing at the Miami Arena. I started going to games with my son that season, just arbitrarily. We were looking for a thing to do, and he was a hockey fan of sorts. He was only like 8 years old, something like that. And anyway, no, he had to be, this was 96, 97 season?
It was like 13, 14.
Yeah, so he was like 13 years old. Yeah, when we started going to games. And then that made that run phenomenal. When the year of the rat, when they were all throwing the rats on the ice and everybody was into it. We don't get that feeling here too often with teams where the whole, area is involved every time they play. I mean, you don't see this too often. And you certainly, I don't know, have they really ignited a spark yet, in your opinion, the Florida Panthers? I mean, do you sense this from
they have a
your travels
following
around town?
They have a cult following. It hasn't reached the masses yet.
No.
And it'll hit the masses when they get to the finals. When
They can get to the cup this year. See, what fucked them last year was the heat, because even we were following them. We were into it. We were watching when they were both playing the same days a lot of the time. I'd watch the Heat and I'd keep them on my phone even then. And they were in the goddamn Stanley Cup. So like, I think being number one all year, if they can find their way to the cup this year, because I don't see the Heat getting back to the finals. So like, I think they'll take South Florida by storm. But it's sad that it takes till that. Like that.
Imagine it. We'd have to have back-to-back Stanley Cup final appearances for people to go, oh, yeah, it's pretty good stuff there. It is incredible. I mean, the detachment factor, and you were used to this your whole career. I mean, there was so much passion about the University of Miami football team in particular and the Miami Dolphin football teams. But and the Heat caught that, bit of attention a little bit. I don't know. The Panthers, it's been sporadic. And the Marlins, even with their 2 World Series titles, still, I mean, is there more distance between the fan base here? And there's zero conversation, except for Jim Sarney, telling me that AJ Puck struck out a couple of guys in his 2 inning stint. But and I understand it's spring training. It's not necessarily a
You know
time where
what?
people are overwhelmingly excited about it. But do people even give a shit that the Marlins season is around the corner?
Oh, not the Marlins.
You got pick up your New York Post. I guarantee you, there's
Oh, they're loaded with baseball. I mean, they got
Baseball.
nothing.
Baseball.
Back
Baseball.
page, they're in a panic already about opening day for the Yankees. Garrett Cole apparently going to miss the opening day start, and Aaron Judge questionable for opening day. Go ahead and send it in on whoever they play. Tony, I mean, looks like they're going to be bereft of talent there on opening day. I mean, and when is that? That's like 2 weeks from now, maybe. What, 3?
yeah,
That's the back page.
yeah.
Well, that would
And-
be big news. I mean, if Garrett Cole is injured, that's for sure.
That's the same way in Philadelphia, the same way, and they can manage multiple teams. We can't. We compartmentalize. We either are a Heat fan and that's it. We're a Dolphin fan. We're a Hurricane fan. You know, we have a hard time morphing between them all. We can't afford. You can't afford all four. You can't afford a night out to the Panthers and a night out to the Heat, and in multiple nights. It's just different here. It is just so different here. I go to Detroit, where my wife was
It's
from.
like the strangest sports market. I mean, were you ever? Obviously, you had a brilliant career here, but did you ever think? And you had national presence also with the George Michael Sports Machine, and then other opportunities there with the network. But did you ever think, geez, if I was in some other sports market?
Oh my God!
It might have been a totally different story. I don't know. I mean, you fit the scene here, though, Tony, with your style and everything. Also,
Well, yeah. Thank you for that. But
no,
I
you
think,
did. I mean, you were the epitome of you did bring out a very kind of illustrious position for the local sports platform. Even though we didn't have as much, I was shocked when I moved here at what was going on or what wasn't going on in South Florida.
what was going on?
1981 when I came here. Yeah,
81.
nothing.
See, well, that's weird. It's so funny because I feel like people at least did get fired up about the Dolphins and the Canes. Like the
Yeah.
Canes, they never went to games, but people would get into it, and they definitely cared about the Dolphins. Like now, I don't know if they care. Even the Heat, who are good, it's hard to hear people like get fired up about anything. Like it's gotten worse as a market. I feel like
It's just they don't care. They just don't. You know, there's so much more to do here.
Do you believe that though? I mean, there's plenty to do in all of these other cities.
There's
No?
plenty to do in Philadelphia and New York and
I
Boston.
don't know. I
LA doesn't have any activities. I mean, they have a reputation for having blasé sports fans, which
You know
to
what
an
it
extent
is?
is true.
they support it though.
I've studied on this. I believe that there are so many people from other places that their allegiance is to other places.
Oh yeah,
So and it's gotten more like that in the last 15, 20 years. So it's
But at the same time, these teams that had really no traditional foundations now do have that. I mean, they have a history. It may be 30 years as opposed to 100 in some cities, but nonetheless, I mean, there are people that have grown up and had basketball here and had hockey here, and it hasn't really
I
seemed
think
to have the
they're-
kind of impact it would anywhere else.
I think those children who, like you just said, were influenced by their parents as to who to like. And it could be Boston, it could be Philadelphia, it could be Minnesota, it could be a number of teams. And I saw a guy the other day wearing a Philadelphia Phillies shirt. I saw a guy wearing a Winnipeg.
Oh yeah, it's funny. It's rare you see South Florida teams.
And nobody wears a South Florida
You see
uniform
golf-
around here. It's so embarrassing, right?
Never.
Still see some merino jerseys.
You'll see Marino and you'll see like old school Marlins. For some
Yeah.
reason, the old school F like became like a retro.
You've seen like a Benito Santiago jersey
There's a
somewhere.
store. There's a big store right around the corner from here called Canes Wear,
Oh yeah. Those guys have been around forever.
filled with hurricane stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's dead.
No one is ever in there.
That's not good. I mean, I know those guys. I forget the guy's name, but he was always a really righteous human being.
Yeah,
The guy that owned that thing.
yeah.
Are they not next to Las Panas there in Davie?
Yeah, next to Las Patas.
Okay.
supplies.
So they should get a few just curiosity seekers, say, hey, maybe I need a new Canes hat. I always found Canes gear to be great. I didn't get enough freebie stuff because Sonny used to pilfer it all.
I know.
Whatever came to the station was Sonny Hirsch's. I mean, every now and then you go, hey, here's a jacket. You're like, well, geez, Sonny.
I still get
that was one of the 30 that arrived at the station.
I still am on scholarship there, so I get what I want.
Oh yeah, you got to be getting all kinds of stuff. But no, it's it's always been a weird sports market. I don't know that anybody's ever figured it out. I never bought the argument though that there's too much to do here.
No,
I would say this: if you decide that you want to go to a ball game, then it means a lot to you. That you want to see the Yankees when they come to town, or you want to go see the Dolphins play the New York Giants, or whatever. I mean, there's a big ball game going on. Heat, Panthers. You're going to go.
Yeah.
You're going to put off your kite surfing for the day. I mean, you're going to, it doesn't matter. It could be the brightest sunshine. It could be a noon game. If you really want to go see the Celtics play or whatever, and the Miami Heat, you're going. So, I don't think that ever really held crowds down so much. It just, there wasn't enough of an attachment to these local teams. And maybe I'm out of it because I don't hang around, these scenes as much as I used to. But
I mean, the Heat do well. And the Panthers, I think, are actually doing pretty much better when it comes to attendance. You said it. It's these other cities have hundreds of years of tradition, and we don't.
Yeah,
and it's that simple. The Heat actually have a good following because they've now been around and they've been successful for 20-something years. The Dolphins, the problem with them is they were mediocre for so long. You started to. The younger generation doesn't know the Dolphins as an actual sound organization. The Panthers are finally getting there, and we see cultures build tradition. And I think Zito, I think Maurice, I think Kachuk are the kind of names that build a following. The Marlins it's hard to support an organization that every year now. Look, you had an executive that should have. Did she win Executive of the Year? I don't know if she did, but she should have won Executive of the Year. And then she was pissed at how you were treating her and leaves. Like, it's the same old story. So that's the problem. That's why I always get my feathers riled up whenever we compare ourselves to Philly, Chicago, New York, because we're not. But it is, even I will go, it's a little annoying when the Panthers have shown, okay, they're really good. And no one cares.
Nobody. I mean,
what's odd is the Panthers facility is the easiest to get in it.
Oh yeah, the stadium.
Fairly easy to deal with, yes.
You can park for free. What arena can you park for free and no one gives a shit? It's not that far of a walk to Sawgrass, so you can park for free to go to a game and no one actually cares. What do you mean?
And it is an obnoxious whack job now where you have to pay $30 to park your car there and only by credit card. Yeah. So I mean, even if you whip out the cash, they're telling you, man, go park over there at the Sawgrass.
They'd rather you park at Sawgrass.
Yeah. Oh, it's easy to deal with, no question. And they get good crowds. It's just you don't have the same kind of everybody's into it spirit that you see in some other cities when it comes to various teams, and that's been forever. I just think it's getting worse here in South Florida.
I don't know why.
More scattered than ever. You look good, though. That's all that matters, Tony. You look great. I love the striped shirt. Where did you get that? Are you going to a Yankee game today, or?
I'm representing. I got them the wrong way, though.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a sideways Bucky Dent there. You're in the pinstripes. It's fantastic. All right. Always a pleasure, Tony. We will see you, Friday out at the track?
Friday. Busy day, so be ready.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Friday, and we got the dinner at the Texas Roadhouse.
Friday,
lunch at Gulfstream, dinner at Texas Roadhouse. What's better than that?
Great way to kick off a weekend.
I'm gonna have to.
I do want to say, by the way, happy anniversary, my wife. 3 years.
Oh, happy anniversary, Lubie! I just saw that.
Happy anniversary, Lubie.
How many years now?
3. I set a record. We set.
That was only 3 years ago.
I know, isn't that? Doesn't it feel like it's decades?
Seems like a fucking century ago. It really does.
Putting up with me for like 20 years.
Jeff, what are you celebrating today?
Just another day of life, right out of the song, Tony. I can't wait. I'm looking outside here. It looks spectacular. I'm going to get on the Walk of Life, and then we come back to a little Mayo Lunchbox show, and hopefully some of these things that look like they were showing up a little positive actually turn out to be tangible ways of approaching the universe. What's that?
Mayo's box today?
Mayo, actually, your place, Delaware Chicken Farm.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You might be stopping by for a stone crab or two.
I don't know.
Welcome. You're always welcome, Tony.
Batch tomorrow, right?
Batch tomorrow. Yes,
oh,
sir.
tomorrow. Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah, you want to check that out also, Tony.
Okay.
I think you know what? Let's have lunch all every day this week, and then the dinner at Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be dining with Tony Segreto. It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Tony, thanks so much. Always a pleasure. Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Ed Garcia unable to make it today, but he is a real gentleman, and we are looking forward to that show that we do. And getting Mayo in there, you think he's going to make a face or something?
No,
I
he
mean,
didn't complain
say there's
about.
too much salt on the potato or whatever.
No,
I mean, is he going to do one of those things?
He went once because of us, and he and his daughter enjoyed it. And he's the one that was on us to get back in there. So it's fine with me. You don't have to tell me twice to get back into Texas Roadhouse.
No, it's a delightful place. It really is, and remarkable. We get a lot of a good vibe about Texas Roadhouse from having Ed on the show all the time, Ed Garcia, which is great. But when a place really lives up to that spirit, it really is fantastic. Well, we had that yesterday with Grandpa's, man. I mean, did you see the people in there? They're loving life.
Packed. Yep.
Giant sandwiches. Everything is scrumptious, delicious. It's true. When they tell me that the soup of the day is mushroom barley, I think you couldn't come up with something better than that. And so, of course, the soup of the day is mushroom barley. Mayo's all in. Yeah, I'll have one of those because he loves it.
Yeah.
And done well, it's really not a terrible soup, but it's among the most deflating of offerings, in my opinion. And yet, it was great yesterday. I really enjoyed it. I still can taste the thing, and that's always the mark of a good thing in a restaurant. And I just love it. And you peruse the restaurant there, and the faces are all happy and just in celebration. I'm on orders today to pick up some of that turkey chili. Actually, pay for.
Oh, you should. I mean, it was great.
Yeah,
it was really good.
Did I say actually pay for it? Yeah. No, I actually offer to pay for it. Do I go to my wallet? Or what do I do?
don't know. Mayo actually buys things.
How does Mayo work this? Where he calls Gene before and it says, "What's that now?"
No, he actually buys things. I give him
He does?
credit. He does, yeah. His snoring has boundaries, I guess. I don't know, but he actually buys things.
Very few boundaries, I would have to say. He would be running an open border too, Mike Mayo. No doubt about it. All right, we will see you guys from Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. Were you trying to keep that a secret from Tony because there's no room there?
No, there's just no room. I mean, again, and same thing with Batch. Like this, with the setup outside, to get us stationed where it worked last time, which was one of our best setups. That
was a good one, yeah.
In the show, it only really works for 3 sittings. It just does.
Yeah.
So, and Delaware's the same thing. Delaware,
there's not a lot of room in there. There's no doubt about it.
I don't fit in there. Like I'm standing, I'm constantly moving.
But which is good because when they bring that food out, you're the last on it, and so Mayo and I get first picking on just about everything,
which is fine. But it's just a smaller place. I mean, I love Tony. It's just some of these places that's what's interesting about the show is every place is different. So
they're great. You know what? It's fantastic. It really is a lot of fun to see how these people operate. It's really. It's heartening to see the level of effort that goes into running some of these great establishments. And they really are creative, innovative, and dedicated. All of these people that are fetching all the time about minor stuff, they're missing the big picture.
Exactly.
Which we try to bring you on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And I think, with Mayo, I mean, what did he big bite yesterday?
Reuben. He pounded the Reuben.
Oh, the Reuben.
Which was great.
Yeah.
The corned beef was fantastic.
Very nicely done. Very nicely done there at Grandpa's. All right, we'll see you later on. Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market with the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Show. And we'll catch you tomorrow right here on the next edition of the Defo Show. We will have trivia with Dave Gurgles Gurgly. That's always a lot of fun. We'll have a Degenerate Friday show for you as well. And we'll say sayonara for now. We'll see you later on as we leave you now that.
The time.
Happy anniversary, Mike, Lubie. I meant to say that, and then it slipped my mind as you got into it, which thank you very much for reminding us there, Lubie. You would have been a dead man if you didn't. All right, it is 9:07.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my